All right, the Reds, it's the preview show, and we're in the middle of this mad phase. Now, I keep thinking about when we looked at the mad phase on paper, and we're like, that's a lot of games, isn't it? And now we're in it, and it's like one thing's only just finished, and we're jumping onto another thing. And like, you know, ordinarily, as you know, if you watch this show, you know, we normally have stats and historic occasions. We've met this side before, all of that. We played City last week. Literally played them last week. And all that's happened since then is we drew with Benfica. They drew with Atletico, but you know they're a disgrace. They've had a fight. Hairs got pulled. People have got called a cunt. All kinds of stuff.
Brilliant, by the way.
Yeah, brilliant.
I was thinking was like, I want this to be a battle. I want this to be battle. Yeah. Went on my phone afterwards and it said disgraceful scenes. It was
police in the tunnel. All kinds of
up
stuff.
The Reds.
So you kind of feel that there's been loads of mental energy, physical energy, the lot all poured out into that fixture that they've had. Whereas our one, we rest 7. We're taking people off on 55 minutes. Like, if ever a game was managed around minutes, it was Benfica. It was just like, we're getting through, and what can we get away with? Oh, we'll change our whole defence. We'll play Milner from the start. So legs going into Saturday look good, don't they?
Massively with legs. I think the mental side of it as well, you mentioned there, is something that doesn't get talked about enough. And like, I watched the highlights back to that Atletico game last night, and it just looked like, well, it looked like City tired in the second half of the game, which is something they did against Liverpool, which is interesting for the weekend. B, what you just mentioned there, the fact that they only rested or changed, wouldn't have been resting, they changed 2 footballers and we were able to change 7, that's massive. The fact that they've had to travel, and I know Guardiola's listing all of these, he's saying we found it really difficult, we're in big trouble, he's using this kind of language in the, in front of the cameras, he won't be saying that in the background, by the way. But I think just all of that, it's almost a perfect storm for us going into this game, and I think you're right, it was brave what he does last night in terms of the defence in particular, the two fullbacks, but ultimately it pays off. You're looking around and you're seeing Firmino getting 2 goals there. Suddenly I'm thinking about him this weekend and what he can do, dropping in to Harry.
Because that was a bit of a weak spot, that wasn't it, in the first game. Like I wasn't, I know he scored, but I wasn't sure about Jota starting last time around. And I kind of think, but then he's played. Is the other thing, we're back to this thing, aren't we, where there's arguments for loads of different lineups. Like, you could play Firmino because he's just played and he did well against Watford, but then you'd say, well, he's just played, so he's not as fresh.
I think with Firmino, I think he can go again. I think
Tuesday, Saturday,
just the idea of having Jota and having Jota and Diaz to come on off the bench. I think the way the game went in the first half, where City were on us and we struggled to deal with it, and we were a bit sloppy and a bit nervy. I think having Firmino in there and going with a trusted 3 up top help make it stick, help harass Rodri in defensive midfield, and see what happens. And if we need to bring on the cavalry in the second half, when City have looked like in both games they've really tired. Imagine you're tired and you're thinking, God, we're getting through this. It's it's 0-0 or it's close, and then you look and you see Diaz coming on and Jota coming on.
Mo seems to be getting really close as well with that curler, doesn't he?
Mate,
he's practicing it. It's
right behind it.
It's like one of them's going in soon, and it might be Saturday afternoon. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, he looked much brighter last night. I thought he looked a lot more like himself.
Chased all the way back at one point, didn't he? As well, where you were like, go on.
He was up for it. He was frustrated. We were 2 goals ahead. We were 3 goals ahead. It didn't matter to Mo. Like, he was dying to get on the score sheet, and he was dying to make an impression in that game. And I think that 60-70 minute rest that he's got, and the fact that it wasn't the most energetic game whenever he did come on, I think that'll be really beneficial for him and loads of the other footballers as well across the park. I'm thinking Fabinho, Thiago.
Yeah, he needed the rest for Fabinho, definitely. I mean, it was a bit of a stinker, wasn't it, against City in the league.
Do you think that's why he brought him on last night?
I think both things. So I think he doesn't start because he needs a bit of a rest, and I think he brings him on to maintain a little bit of rhythm, bring him on in an easy situation, let him get a touch of the ball in a competitive game and all that, and then go, okay, you got that out your system now, Wembley, play properly, be the man we know and love, do you know what I mean? And in their game as well, as well as all the nonsense in the tunnel and on the field and Foden and the kick-off and the pulling the hair and all that stuff that's made all the headlines. You've got De Bruyne going off, you've got Walker going off. I love that in the ground as well, by the way. It was almost like old school, like, the little radios to the ear. I know it's like the internet now, isn't it? And everyone's on the phone, but this Alright, the Reds, thanks for watching a little bit of a premium Anfield Wrap video there. If you want to watch the rest of that show and get access to much more, click join below. That activates our YouTube membership. It means you get a premium video every day of the week. You get our post-match content, you get reviews, previews and exclusive interviews, all here from the heart of Liverpool. Follow us, follow them. Up the Reds.